And among the things we talked about is Tawheed. And we said Surah talks about three kinds of Tawheed we have in our religion. The Tawheed is the most important aspect of our religion. It is why Allah sent all the messengers, and it is why all the books were revealed. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونَ. Every messenger we sent, the thing we revealed to them is to believe in one Allah. That's why shirk is one of the most problematic areas within the Muslims themselves today, because that's the only thing Allah will not give. Anything below shirk, Allah inshallah will forgive it, except shirk, which you have to re-enter Islam for Allah to forgive it. For example, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Man halafa bi ghayri Allah faqad ashrak." Whomever swears by other than Allah or gives the oath by other than Allah, with my honor, with my wife, my grandparents, so and so who died years ago, kafir. He's a kafir. That's it. What does he have to do? The other hadith explains it. Whomever swears by other than Allah must re-embrace Islam. Say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The kinds of shirk that we talked about is the first one. The first kind of tawheed is the tawheed al-rububiyyah, meaning, what is it?
There is Allah.
Allah exists. Who are the opponents of that tawheed? People like the atheists. Then, what did the kuffar of mushrikeen, did they believe in this one or no?
Yeah.
Okay, the second one, what is it? What is that?
He is Allah, not just any Allah.
The one and only one Allah. This is where the division started. This is where the division started. During the Prophet's time, this is where the division is in our time today. And actually in our time, it's the time of Quraysh. At least in the time of Quraysh, they were not under the banner name of Islam. They were under the banner of mushrikeen. Today we have within Islam, people who claim to be Muslim, but commit this kind of shirk. This kind of shirk, one of the basic examples, as that going to graves and asking the people, 30 point grave, to help you in things only Allah can. This takes you automatically out of Islam, and this is a twin of what the people did during the Prophet ﷺ time, who opposed the Prophet ﷺ from Quraysh. The third kind of tawheed, what is that?
And that's not attribute of Allah, with attribute I trying to explain it,
take it as it is, like the path of the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim. We take the names and attributes. How do we get the verse where it says Allah has a hand? How do you believe in it? You just say Allah has a hand and you let it go. How does the hand look like? That's behind our comprehension. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. There's nothing there's nothing close to Allah. Your imagination can't go near how Allah is. So you let it go like the Sahaba did. Allah has a hand, He has a hand, you let it go and continue on. This is where some groups deviated in Islam as well, and they left out of the path. That's why we say we believe in the Quran, in the Sunnah, like the Sahaba did. If you don't believe in the Quran and the Sunnah like the Sahaba did, then you got a problem in this issue right here. How do we believe in Allah's names and attributes? You got many sects, at least 5, 6 main sects that differ. Like I mentioned last time, some of them go to the extreme of saying Allah has a hand, and on His hand, since He has a hand, He must have fingers on His hand, and if He has fingers on His hands, He can bend His fingers, and since He can bend His fingers, He has hair that comes between those fingers. They go to that extreme. This is not Islam. This is not how the Sahaba understood it. You got on the other people who go to the extreme of denying Allah doesn't have a hand. This is mere power. Both are wrong, because that's not how the Sahaba believed in it. The Sahaba used to say, let it go. We believe in that attribute like it is. Let it go how it is. Allah has a hand. He has a hand. How is that hand? Allah knows. And you remember I brought the example of Malik, which is Imam Malik, one of the great Imams of all time, after the Tabi'een and the Sahaba. Remember what did he say when someone asked him? Because one of Allah's attributes is He's on 7 skies on His throne. When someone came and asked him, and this is important stuff, every Muslim has to know this stuff. Every Muslim has to know. When he was when he asked, someone came in a halaqah like this, and he asked, how did Allah sit on His throne? What did Imam Malik say?
English.
If you don't know in English, then you go, I'm Muhammad. This is important. This is important because this is the rule of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You have to know it. He said, this rule applies to Allah's attributes. He said, like the brother said in Arabic, Al-istiwa'u ma'loom. We know Allah is on His throne because Allah in the Quran says, Ar-Rahmanu ala al-arsh istawa. Allah is sitting on His throne. Wal-imanu bihi wajib. And believing in that issue is a must. How? Wal-kayfiyah? We don't know how. That's in Allah's knowledge. It's not, Allah never gave it. And questioning in this extreme, like then question is the innovation. Because the Sahaba never questioned. They're the most pious people, the most knowledgeable people, the most people went into extreme detail asking the Prophet, but they never went into the detail of asking the Prophet how did he sit on his throne. If they never asked that, who are we to come centuries later and sit and talk about these issues? And these are issues of the Aqidah, of the core of your Aqidah. These is the basic of Tawheed that everyone must know. This is knowledge every single Muslim must know. Then we talked about min sharr al-waswas al-khannas. The devil is the waswas al-khannas. What does waswas al-khannas mean? In English. I want it in English.
Whisper, the one who whispers is the waswas.
Waswas, not whispers. Literally whispers mean in Arabic. But in what it means in the Quran is instigate. Instigate. Places in your heart evil things. Al-Khannas,
the one who
calms down. Why is the devil the waswas al-Khannas? Because sometimes he inspires you to do evil, and sometimes you shut him up and calm him down. How do you do that? Well, he inspires you sometimes. The devil's always after you to do evil. But if you say, A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim, khanas. He's down. He's down. He no longer can tempt you. If you make wudu, the devil goes away. If you do dhikr, the devil goes away. If you're in prayer, the devil goes away. If you call adhan, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you call adhan, the devil runs away, backfiring. As he's running away, he backfires. He leaves the masjid. This is the way that the devil, you keep him down. And we said, in this surah, Allah talks about al-waswas al-khannas, which is the devil. However, there are three things that instigate a human to do evil things. One of them is the devil. Number two, nafs, your nafs, your desires. You know, the devil, he tempts you. And the nafs tempts you. You have desires within you that you want. And the nafs is the one who attempts you to do that. If you don't restrict your nafs, it's the same way as the devil instigating in you. The third one? Human beings. Human beings who instigate you to do devil, and all three are worse than each other. All of them are very bad. Possibly the third one be the worst. Because the other ones, you could say, A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim, and get them away. But once you have friends, evil friends, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ always stressed that you watch who you befriend. Unless you're giving them da'wah. Because if you don't affect them, they affect you. الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ مِنَ الْجِنَّةِ وَالنَّاسِ. So Allah mentioned the last two that we just talked about. Jinnah are who? وَالنَّاسِ? The nas. Okay, let's talk about قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Then we'll talk about jinn after we talk about what does قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. What does al-falaq mean?
The morning or the
Fajr. According to some scholars, that's the Fajr, it's the daylight. The break of the daylight is the Falaq. According to some scholars,
it's the night itself, or some say it's the moon.
One is radical, one is that it's a valley in hellfire. Okay. But whatever it is, it's something that Allah said, قُلْ أَعُوذُ, you seek refuge from قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, with the Lord of the Falaq. Whatever it is, it could be most likely, according to the vast majority of the scholars, the Falaq is the break of the daylight, and some go all the way to the extreme of saying it's a valley in hell. Whatever it is, you seek refuge in Allah, the Lord of that, the Lord of all the sky and the earth. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ. That's basic and easy. From the evil that Allah created. And there's evil in nearly everything. Some is pure evil like the devil, and some is partially evil like the kuffar, and some is less evil, some the Muslims who are astray. And there are what is created by Allah that has no evil in it. Angels. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِشَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ. What's غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ?
noise of the dark when it's comes.
When the night time comes, yes, is the time. Just maybe about half an hour ago or so, just as day night is coming. That's what the surah means, because that's when, as you know, and if you look around, that's when most evils begins to be committed. In fact, there was an amazing hadith I read where the Prophet ﷺ said, as soon as it becomes this time, like a little bit before Maghrib, put your heads, take your kids and put them in the houses. They shouldn't they don't belong outside, because this is time of evil. And I see the crime, just look at the statistics, you see a reality over there. And night time is when the crime is committed. So Allah is saying to seek refuge from the evil that's committed in this time. من شر غاسق إذا ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. النفاثات قد هذا يوسف. النفاثات في العقد. Go ahead in English.
It's the magician, the one who is making the magician. They used to make the magician. They tie a cord, they tie
a cloth and blow on it and tie it, and it becomes, as we talk about, something that they do witchcraft and black magic in. The reason this surah was revealed, as I don't know if I mentioned last halaqah, was the Prophet ﷺ had witchcraft performed upon him as a test from Allah. Where he used to say himself, I used to imagine having intercourse with women, and there was no woman. It was something hallucinating because of this black magic, until Jibril came down and told him that a Jewish woman had performed black magic, and that the uqad she used, the little things the clothing that she blew on and made her magic, are located in a well. And Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu with two Sahaba went to that well and pulled it out, and that's what cured the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from this black magic and witchcraft. And this is to prove in reality, as some people deny it. They say, no, there's nothing in Islam as black magic. No one can affect me, you know. No, it has an effect, and it's true, and some people master it. You know, in area, maybe in Dearborn, you see people, there are some people, probably the people want money, but in our old country, it's mastered very well, and it's known, and people can do it. They can destroy families. They can break the relationship between a husband and a wife. They can destroy, you buy something very nice, and they do some kind of black magic. Inshallah, we'll talk about how they can affect you with it, and destroy practically your life. That's why there's no repentance for one who performs this kind of work. If they repent between them and Allah, it's not our business. If we jump, his punishment is to be cut by his neck. Anyone who commits black magic, that's evil. حد الساحر ضربة بالسيف. The punishment for one who does black magic is to chop his neck off. ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. And here Allah talks about a last problem, which is jealousy, an epidemic of our time. Jealousy could affect you in many ways. One of the most ways it could affect you is your thinking. How does it affect your thinking? If you become jealous and that overpours your heart, you will not listen to the truth. This is why Abu Jahl didn't believe in Islam, because of jealousy. How? He was walking with al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, and the Prophet ﷺ passed by, as you know, and he said, Abu Jahl, isn't it been time for you to embrace Islam? As he always did. Every time he passed him, every time he seen an opportunity, he gave him da'wah. He didn't say this guy never going to be a believer, and just let him alone. Every time he see an opportunity, never passed him in an alley without giving him da'wah. So one time he said, Abu Jahl, is it time for you to embrace Islam? Abu Jahl got mad. He said, what do you want, Muhammad? If you want, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you want wealth, we'll give you wealth. If you want money, just leave me alone. Quit bothering me. Then they walked on. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was told later on by al-Mughira bin Shu'bah what conversation they had. Mughira said, when we walked later on, I told him, don't you know this man, what he came with is the truth? He said, yeah, of course, what he came with the truth. So he said, why don't you believe in him? This is Abu Jahl, the biggest enemy of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The top enemy. He said, yes, I know what he came with is the truth. He said, then don't you believe in him and solve the problem? He said, look, we're Quraysh. He's from Quraysh, I'm from Quraysh. He's from a fraction of Quraysh, I'm from a fraction of Quraysh. When we got to Hajj, we used to greet him good. The people used to come from Hajj, we used to give them water, they gave them water. Meaning it was a competition, we gave them water. Back then it was an honor to greet the people who came to Hajj. They put with more food. They give water, we give more water. They take them in as guests, we take in more people as guests. And so on. A feud. They win one battle, we win 3 battles. And now they got, their fraction got a man who gets revelation from on top of 7th sky. Where are we going to get that from? It was an issue of jealousy. We're jealous of it. So why Jahl didn't believe? That's how jealousy can affect you. If jealousy overpowers you, become like Abu Jahl. The same way with Iblis. Why didn't Iblis bow down to Adam, the devil? Why didn't he bow down to Adam? He said, you want me bow down to a man you created from tin? I am the one that should be bowing down to me. When you have jealousy in your heart is almost sealed, it's stamped shut, where you can't accept the truth, because it's a disease. Jealousy is a disease. This is the first issue, affects your thinking. Number 2, jealousy is one of the very actions that you get money for, you get in for, or only in your if Allah jealousy will eat you just like fire eats charcoal or wood. Jealousy affects you. We'll see how we can kill jealousy, but jealousy affects you even though you don't act upon it. Usually, anything you do, almost anything you do, if you don't act upon it, you don't get the sins for it. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not, oppress you over things. You have thoughts in your mind. But jealousy, yes. Because jealousy is to wish in your heart, or to instigate in your heart that you want the good that you see in another person taken away. You may see something, he has a nice car. You say, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah, may Allah give him better cars. May Allah give me a car like that. That's no problem. But to see his car, how did he get that car? I've been working all my life and I can't get this. How did he get PhD at that young age and I can't get that? That's what we're talking. How did he get an A and he never studied? And I have to study. This is the jealousy we're talking about. No, say, MashaAllah, he got an A? He got an A. This kills jealousy. This is what kills jealousy. Make dua for him. And if you continuously do this, you won't have jealousy in your heart ever. That's it. Say, MashaAllah, he got an A alone, at night, whether in public or at night. Say, MashaAllah, may Allah give him more. May Allah give him better grades. May Allah give him more. And give me, whatever that you desire. This will kill jealousy. And you have to kill jealousy in your heart. So number 2, it affects you. It affects your way of thinking. That's the first one. The second one is that you get sins even though you don't act upon it. And the third thing is that this is a disease from the Jews. They're the creators of jealousy. Because Allah said, أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah told about the Jews. They are jealous of every goodness that they see that people have. They become jealous of it. ود كثير من أهل الكتاب لو يردونكم من بعد إيمانكم كفارا حسدا من عند أنفسكم. It is the wish of the people of the book that they render you as apostates. Why? حسدا, jealousy. They're jealous. This is the disease of non-Muslims. So if you have this disease, that means you brought in within us a disease from the outside. Muslims don't have this. The Sahaba didn't have it. When they had it, they made dua. The Prophet ﷺ told us how to do it. You make dua. Dua, you wish good for your brother. لا تحاسدوا. لا تحاسدوا, and be the brothers. وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا. And be brothers of each other. So this is an important aspect. There's halal, but still it could be haram if you wish that it be gone from them. And what he's mentioning in the hadith, the Prophet does not have the 2 things. One, that Allah gives him wealth and he spends it day and night for the sake of Allah. And one who memorizes the Quran and tries to bring back his up busy with the Quran. So there's no hasad in that. However, if you wish that Allah take the Quran to that one, that person, then that becomes bad. But Allah, what he's saying is that his issue is bad. Oh, I know he did, 2 hours a night qiyam. I want to do 3 hours a night. May Allah give him more, but I want to do 3 hours. That's good. Competition is good. Prophet ﷺ even said in another hadith, don't look in issues of life, don't look to one who below you, level below you. You have a house that's worth $500,000, look to someone who has a house for $100,000. You have one eye that's worth, one eye that doesn't work, look at someone who's blind. You're blind, look at someone who's paralyzed. Always look in these issues of life who's less than you. But in issues of the life after, you always look to one who's higher than you. Oh, he prays, he's always at the masjid 5 times a day. You look at him and look at people who are better than you in dhikr, in qiyam at night, in worshiping, in knowledge of Islam. You always look at people who are better than you. Let's go back to the issue.
What about non-Muslims? Is it just non-Muslims?
Well, it's a disease, whether a Muslim or non-Muslim. And you know what? If you don't kill jealousy in your heart, you get high blood pressure. You're going to get a disease and a heart attack because you keep thinking. It eats you out. It kills you. How did he get this? Islam wants to cure all the diseases. It's some internal thing that will affect you physically even, because you keep thinking, how did he get? Islam wants a Muslim to relax in life. Allah gave him something good. Alhamdulillah. You know, for everything there's a solution. You get harmed in this life or you get good in this life, Islam tells you how to accept things in life. So you won't have high blood pressure, cholesterol, and all these things that come from your nerves. You don't wreck your nerves in Islam. You keep your nerves calm. If you keep looking at kafir and you're jealous of them, you're going to have a problem there. But the issue in Islam, it's more strictly enforced against your Muslim brothers. But
how to protect ourselves against hasad?
I just said, you make dua if they're mentioned, and even though you make his jealousy, make dua for him, ask him, Allah to give him more. As you do this on and on, Allah will protect you from the hasad. Yes, you may feel in your heart like, how did Allah give him this and that, and you make dua for him in public. It kills the hasad. At night time alone, or in your house alone, make dua for him, it will kill. That's one of the main ways, the best ways to kill hasad. And no, the other way, this life is short. You live 50, 60, 70 years old, Allah didn't call this life. Allah called you living on this life a dead man. Innaka mayyitun. You're dead. Because you're going to die, that means this is not life. But then in the life after he said, يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي قَدَّمْتُ لِحَيَاتِي. He calls that one the life after. Because if you got 1 million or 10 million or 1 billion or whatever you have, and someone doesn't have nothing, on the judgment day, on the everlasting life, you're going to come next to each other equivalent. It doesn't matter what you had in the life before. The life after is the everlasting life, is what you should be greedy and afterward and have the hasad that the Prophet ﷺ said, because that's the everlasting life that will continue forever. That's what counts. He considered this life dead, considered us dead over here, but he calls the other life, the life after, hayat. Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati.
What about the settings and all of that?
We're going to talk about that now. Of course, the Prophet ﷺ used to secure himself from the evil eye. We have the evil eye, we have the hasad, and we have the jinn. Three issues that these surahs, the last 3 surahs in the Quran, or particularly the last 2, are a guardian for. The Prophet ﷺ used to ask Allah refuge from the evil eye and from the hasad, always. Except when these verses were revealed, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, the Prophet began to recite them. And as the hadith says, whomever recites these in the daytime, Allah will secure him and guide him until the night time. And whoever recites them in the night time, Allah will secure him and guide him until the daylight breaks out. So we have 3 things here. The evil eye, we have the black magic, and we have the jinn. What's the common denominator between all 3? There's something common with all 3. The jinn is the common denominator. They all have the jinn as the common denominator. The evil eye, how is it controlled? By the jinn themselves. The jinn are the one who enter body or corrupt the life or whatever. Same with black magic. When they do that magic, they're working with the devil. They're working with the jinn. And the jinn is the one who commits the evil upon the people. And the same with the black magic. So all these 3 things, the common denominator is the jinn. How is that? The jinn, I don't know if I mentioned last week, but the jinn are 2 categories. The pure evil and the regular kind. The pure evil is the devils. We don't care about that. We already know about the devils. But the other kind is like human beings. There are 2 categories. They're good and they're bad, just like humans. You know that we got Surah Al-Jinn in the Quran. They used to come and listen to the Prophet ﷺ recite the Quran, and some of them believed in him, and some of them carried on tradition, to be good believers and go back to their people, and just like exactly how the Sahaba were. And until today, You must, as a Muslim, believe in the ghaib, unforeseen, and part of that is believe there is jinn. So, like I said, there's two categories. You got two categories. One category breaks into two more. Two categories: the pure evil and the good, the main category of jinn. The pure evil are the devil. The main category of the jinn is the one that have good and bad. So these, they have bad jinn in them. Some of these bad jinn, like Allah told us in the Quran, among the things they do is they climb on each other's back until they get near the first sky to listen to what's going on up in the sky. They're evilish. So they'll go up in the sky and Allah says, إِلَّا مَنِ اسْتَرَقَ السَّمْعَ فَأَتْبَعُ شِهَابٌ مُبِينٌ. They're shot down by something like similar to laser, by the angels. They're shot down. However, by the time they're shot down, by the time they get there till the time they shut down, they hear some stuff in the sky. And that's what you hear when you hear someone wrote a book about a plane in 2010 is going to fall, a war is going to break out in 2015. If you hear that, you know that he deals with jinn. He got his, if it becomes true. Some of them are liars. We don't care about the lies. But sometimes we have this that becomes true. Or some people, you go to fortune tellers and they tell you, they don't know nothing. You go for the first time. Your mother is so-and-so, your father is so, you came from this, you have this problem, and sometimes they're right. They're right. How do they get this? Your jinn communicates to their jinn. They know everything. So these people do not reach the level of communicating with jinn. These witchcraft, these people who deal with jinn, they don't reach the level of communicating with jinn unless they are evil humans. They have to do with series of very kufr stuff. Some of it goes to the it's probably here in Quran. And when you sell yourself to the jinn, then they will give you some in back for you. Then you can have people, you can destroy families, you can spy on people, and make a living out of it. As we see some people, that's what it seems that we chop that up. In this way, you must recite these verses as a guardian against these people. And this, believe in it, how? Because the Prophet, sometimes the jinn themselves, without the human instigating them, they annoy or bother human beings. As you know, we know the stories of the Prophet ﷺ. A tribe to him, a boy who was tied up in Prophet ﷺ, in two instances. One instance, he hit him. He began to hit him, because if you hit him in the one who's speaking, it's not the person who feels it, it's the jinn himself. So he began to hit him and he said, "Get out of there, you enemy of Allah. I am the messenger of Allah." In another situation similar, he began to recite upon him the Quran. And another situation where a black woman came to the Prophet ﷺ, and she said, "I fall ill and I pass out and I do things that are unintentional because from the jinn." So the Prophet said, "You have two things. You either I ask Allah for you to cure you, or you be patient and you have heaven." She said, "No, I will be patient, but ask Allah that none of my body parts be covered." And also, in the eye, came from and he had a sword with him. He's seen I want to go back early to visit my family. He's seen his wife on the front yard of his house, and he took a sword out. He said, "What are you doing? You shouldn't be here. You should be in the house." So she said, "Go inside and see." He's seen a snake, and he cut the neck of the snake out, and the wife says, "I don't know whose neck fell off, or the snake's." The jinn retaliated against them. When they told the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "That's your brothers from the jinn. If you see any of that, then ask them to leave for 3 days." So you have to ask Allah with these surah as protection for you. A Muslim doesn't go without zikr day or night. A Muslim's tongue is always with the zikr of Allah. Always. So these days, barely see Muslims who do the zikr for Allah. This is one of the ways to strengthen your iman. One of the ways to protect you from all these evil things. Some people, they got a car out of the dealer. They got a house. They just got a car. They just got out of the dealer. And house gone or something. It's taken away from him. All this is from the evil eye. That's why you should always use the protection Allah gave us, which are these surahs in the Quran. Any questions on the jinn before we go? Our prophets are their prophets. قل أوحي إلي أنه استمع نفر من الجن فقد heard from Prophet Allah. They don't have prophets. Our prophets are lower in the Qatari. We have a special description of them. I've read have the description, but that's something we have in the Hadith or in the Quran. we don't believe in it. So, we don't know how they look like. We know that they can act as humans, they can act as snakes, they can act as animals, they can appear. They have the power to appear as humans or as animals. But do they know their normal status, how they look like? That we don't have no proof on that.
So can we communicate with them?
I think that, but most of the scholars say no. I think most of the scholars are right on this issue, because there's no need to communicate with the jinn. That's what I know. Ibn Taymiyyah says it's okay to communicate with the jinn. Not to use the jinn to take the jinn from people. Ibn Taymiyyah and Ahmad ibn Hanbal, someone came to them. One of the ways to take a jinn out of a people is you take them to a mosque, to have a man, belief is good and his aqid is good, his stuff is good. They used to go to people, Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah. The jinn was here, just came up with tissue without, in the spirit of everything, so he went away. So, that's one of the ways, is to keep your faith strong with Allah. But I don't see any reason. The Sahaba never communicated with good jinn. So why should we? What's the purpose behind that?
So what about, why do the jinn come inside people, taking the shit of people?
It's either you oppress them, if you do something bad to them, when you go to the bathroom you say Bismillah Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith. That's the prayer that the Prophet taught us when you enter the bathroom. Why you say that? If there's jinn in there, they will not harm you. That's why the Prophet taught you to say that. If you open the water, for example, the jinn love to live in dirty and gutter places. This is known and this is authentic. They like to live in dirty places. So for example, they're in the sink and you open the water and the hot water and there's jinn there. They're going to of course do something to you. Of course, that's why you say Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min khubthi wal khaba'ith, to guard you against the male. Khubuth is the male jinn and khaba'ith is the female jinn. So the first one is you probably oppress them. Second one is it's probably evil eye. It's probably sihr. It's probably someone from the working with the jinn that did it to you. Third one is probably it's just from the jinn itself. They're evil jinn. They just like to bother people, and they just do it. For example, a female jinn may fall in love with a male human, or the opposite, and she ends up on him, and the jinn is in there, and you have to then work on getting them out.
So is it okay to marry?
No, it's not.
But I heard more about the one of them.
Is it okay to marry?
I'm not saying no. I know that. Somebody gets married with the jinn.
It does happen, but they should not. It's all different species that should remain different. The Sahaba never, although at the time of the Sahaba, they were actually, Medina is probably one of the biggest areas that has jinn in it, and we have no record of any of the Sahaba or anyone who communicated with them in good, except in bad. When bad happened, they asked the Prophet ﷺ to keep the jinn away. So we're totally different species that should remain different. And actually, it's not a pleasant thing to be married to a jinn.
I've never heard it before.
Someone, sent me from a very famous scholar when I was in Medina. He was trying to get a lady jinn, out of a man. And he was talking, it's recorded. He's telling the jinn, why don't you leave? She said, I'm in love with him. I can't leave. He said, Allah says in the Quran, وَلْيَسْتَعْفِفِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ نِكَاحًا. Those who can't find marriage need to seek refuge in and something other than that, like fast and being pious on their own. And she said, but I love him. So, one of the ways is you could use electricity upon them, hit them, and stuff like that. He said, I'll hit you. And she said, no, okay, I'll leave. And that's how the communication went, and the jinn did leave.
Is it true also that if the jinn leaves the body,
yes, you have to tell the jinn to leave from the foot. And you can't see the jinn when it leaves, but you could give him a sign, to scare him, and he listens to you, obey your command. You can, put a jug. I remember seeing that. Shaykh took a jinn out of someone. He put a jug by the door. He said, to prove to me you left, so you won't be a liar, I want to see that jug fall on the way out. It's a jug. It won't fall by wind or anything. So after a few minutes, the jug did fall down. So that's one of the signs.
So believing in jinn is a part of being a Muslim.
Yes, that's believing in unforeseen. This is true. Some people deny that, and that is not true. We have so many authentic hadith. When Ahmad ibn Hanbal, they told him there's a that denies the jinn can enter. He said the jinn enters humans and it talks on their tongues, and sometimes they don't even know they're talking to jinn. So, and you know the hadith I mentioned about the woman in the tribe, and the two situations where the Prophet recited Quran upon him. The man who cut the head, the snake of the head. You know, we have to believe in all that because this is in the iman of the ghaib. Any questions? Black magic through Quran?
No,
no, that's a form. Those ta'weez that they can sign in text. Those are a form of because the Prophet ﷺ says, whomever depends on something like that, Allah will put His dependency upon that. That's something to depend upon. Could you depend on like the ayat in Quran in it? You cannot. The one you depend upon Allah. Prophet ﷺ said, you take it off a person. Usually it was hung back then. You take it off the neck of one person, it's as though you freed a slave. The ajr for that is as though you freed the slave. This is what we do then is like the Prophet taught us, the Quran, always recite the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah. If you recite it, never will enter a house for 3 days to recite it in. Ayat Al-Kursi, always recite it, to keep all the shaitan away from you. The Qul huwallahu ahad, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, these are the ones the Prophet the Prophet ﷺ tell us to do ta'weez or like some other people, they have evil eye, they just put you from the evil eye. This is all form. If you depend on it, that would help. That's shirk that takes you out of Islam. If you just say, you know, this will, you know, form of innovation, you don't really know what you're doing. That's the innovation. The least it could be the innovation. And the worst it could be, if you depend on it, as most do these days, the ones most people are going to keep me away from, from eating happen. That's Is that? Yes, we do that. Like the Prophet ﷺ said. What we're talking about is tama'im
we can use Quran to take the jinn out of the body.
Of course. And you can use the Quran to cure from sihr as well, black magic. And the only thing the scholars dispute is, can you use black magic to cure from black magic? Could you use, you know, the black magic to cure from that? That's a long story, you know, it's a long fiqh dispute. We don't have time to get into it. But Quran, using Quran to an hadith and how the Prophet ﷺ told us is, yes. But the problem is, you know, with those, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you use those tamam, Allah will put your dependency upon that. I mean, Allah raises His support upon you and puts your dependency on that. And how could you depend on tamam or small things like that? Go to the next surah. We have to leave early because I have another lecture somewhere else. Talk about Qul huwallahu ahad or another one? 5 minutes? Does it? Okay. Then we'll take just questions if there's questions. Questions. Yes. The origin of that shirk is, I would say the origin of it comes from lack of knowledge in Tawheed al-Asma' wa Sifat, the names and attributes of Allah. Because Allah told us, for example, He's on top of the skies on His throne. You have to believe that as a Muslim. When a woman slave came to the Prophet ﷺ, she was slapped by her master. He told her, where's Allah? Pointed, and she didn't even speak the language the Prophet ﷺ spoke. She pointed to the sky. He said, let her free, she's a true believer. So once you believe that, you're on the beginning of the right path. Today if you ask most of the Muslims, like I think I mentioned this last halaqah, if you ask most of the Muslims, they'll tell you Allah is everywhere. And that right there is the source of wahdat al-wujud. Because if you believe Allah is everywhere, some people are innocent in their belief. They say Allah is everywhere, and they mean Allah is everywhere in His knowledge, which is right. But you can't say Allah is everywhere. You got to say it right. These are issues of aqidah. You can't say Allah is everywhere. Just be quiet. Allah is on top of the seventh sky, on His throne, sitting on His throne, on top of seventh sky, and His knowledge is everywhere, in every stone, in every knowledge must be mentioned. If you don't mention His knowledge, you fall into the belief the brother mentioned, of Wahdat al-Wujud, which is the belief, the extreme Sufis believe in, which they believe, like some of them would believe Allah is in a dog is in Allah, Allah is in the bathroom, Allah, like I said, one of the big leaders, imams, who believe in this belief, Wahdat al-Wujud, he said, what's under this jubba? The jubba is the thing the scholars used to wear back then. He said, what's under this jubba is Allah. Allah. And that's the belief. If you hit the beginning of the issue right, and this of course is kufr, takes you out of Islam. This takes you completely out of Islam. So that's why there's emphasis on the aqidah and on the basic, the foundation of Islam. You got it right, you know immediately. Where's Allah? Allah's in the sky. His knowledge is everywhere. And the situation is solved. A lot of things to take care of. You see, people think if you say La ilaha illallah, you're Muslim for life, titled for life. That's not true. There's one door to Islam, there's millions of doors that exit you. You know, if you deny 2 letters, 1 letter out of the Quran, you're not a Muslim no more. If someone presents you mock Islam, you mock anything of Islam, anything. Miswak, all the way from a beard to miswak to anything, and that takes you out of Islam without even, you don't even have to tell the person. Some issues you do have to educate the ignorant. You tell them, you know, this verse is in the Quran, and here it is in the Quran, and if he still insists it's not in the Quran, then he's a kafir. You don't perform kufr on him automatically. But no, there's issues like cursing and mocking, these take you out immediately. If you hear someone cursing Allah and His Messenger, he's kafir. You tell him to his face, you are kafir. No, you don't have to tell him. You don't have to tell him, you know, what you did is wrong and this and that. Yeah, of course, nowadays we have to give him da'wah. But we're talking about the hukum. Is he Muslim or is he kafir? Immediately. Someone denies, you know, a verse in the Quran, we have to ask, well, why did you do this? You know, maybe he doesn't know, maybe he's ignorant. This is different. But cursing Allah and His Messenger, this takes you out of Islam automatically. The same thing with mocking. Because you know the story when the companions went with to Tabuk, where they mocked the Prophet ﷺ's companions. They said, you know, they were just joking. They wanted, the distance was so long, they said, let's cut it, the distance with joking. They said those men around the Prophet ﷺ, they have the biggest bellies, and they're the biggest cowardly men in fighting. So Allah revealed the verses in Surah At-Tawbah. And Allah and His Messenger and the true believers, do you mock? Don't apologize. You've rendered yourself as kafir. Because everyone knows, mock, unless he's mentally ill, that's a different story. He has his excuse, he won't be judged by Allah. But everyone knows mocking and cursing it takes you out of Islam. And there's other things, you know. Imam Malik rahimahullah, you know, as in Minhaj al-Sunnah, the first volume, page 32, Ibn Taymiyyah narrates about Imam Malik, if you curse Aisha or one of the Sahaba, you're kafir, automatically.
Some also deny, like some verses, or like, you know, like hijab, for example, for women. Some women say that it's not hijab, it's not mentioned in Quran.
The rule on those who deny that is man ankara shay'an ma'luman min ad-din bil-darura kafar. Whomever denies something whose principles are agreed upon, like salah. Someone come and say, we don't have to pray salah 5 times a day. That's kufr there. Someone, hijab. Everyone, we have clear-cut ijma', Quran, sunnah and hijab. But there's issues of dispute. Those issues of dispute, you know, like the 4 Imams had, rahimahumullah, those are issues we accept, you know. We don't consider them a kafir or even close to a kafir. In fact, if they disapprove amongst each other, they may have ajr if they're Muslim. Look at the Quran, look at the sunnah, look at the ijma', and he still persists, then he's a kafir. Then you should see kufr. What he said is kufr. But is he a kafir himself? That's going to. The Quran says, the sunnah says this, the ijma' says this. He says, so, I don't care, I don't want to believe that. He's a kafir. He's a kafir. You got to choose between kufr, the act of kufr, and the kafir himself. Especially in issues like this. Because, you know, there's so much deviance today that so many sects that spread deviance that you have to educate them before they know. But Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad.
Someone has more than authentic.
What's the most authentic meaning? Ahmad is the superior in everything. Qul huwallahu ahad is the only one, Allah, of course. Like Bilal used to say, ahadun ahad, meaning one and only one. He used to irritate the Kuffar and Quraysh by saying one and only one, because they believed they had around the Kaaba 365 statues, and Bilal used to irritate them by saying there's only one Allah. Allahu Samad. Samad means the superior, the magnificent in everything. If you talk about merciful, the most merciful is Allah. Generous, the most generous is Allah. The utmost generous, that's the main meaning of Samad. In every aspect, give me any aspect, the most superior in it is Allah. Why was the surah revealed? Because the Kuffar Quraysh asked the Prophet ﷺ, we want to know where your Lord came from. You know, I can tell you where I am from, my tribe is from, my grandfather, my ancestors, and you know where your father and ancestors. Where did you come from? This is not from the tribe. So Allah has limited you. He don't come from a chain of kids. Allah is superior, more superior than that. And they, in fact, themselves, as you know, if you ask them how you believe 3 in 1 and 1 in 3, none of them. I was talking to a priest just 3 days ago. I told him, just explain this issue to me. That's all. He said, I really can't explain it to you. I said, how you believe in a situation, in an issue so important like this, you can't explain it to me. And you know, we had the Shaykh Yusuf Ustaz here, and he was a former priest. This issue what got him to Islam. He said, no one can explain it to me. One thing, but it's 3, how could this happen? And he's a priest himself. So this is what Allah is trying to say. Allah has no kids, nor did he come from a generation like humans, like us. لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد, and he has nothing equivalent to him. None is equivalent to him. And that's why when the devil, the Prophet ﷺ said, if the devil comes to you and starts to instigate who made the car, for example, you know, company could make the car. Who made a building? Contractors could make the building. Then you keep going level. Then you reach the level, who created Allah? He said, when you see that happening to you, say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Because that's the devil that's doing this to you. And you have to know Allah and His names and His attributes is behind we're a small creation of Allah. So this is behind our comprehension. How Allah is big, how His attributes are, how created this universe is behind. We cannot even, take it to the biggest extent that you can. It's way beyond that. Meaning your mind cannot handle that. It's way beyond. So don't rest in ease. Don't think about it. If the devil instigates this, say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and it will be, inshallah, resolved. And even less than that. I mean, if your field is computers, someone else is into car engineering. You don't know how he made that car. You don't know how he made that car run. When a car is nothing, so materialistic, small. If you're not into computers, you use a computer every day. You don't know how that computer was made. How is it running? Where's the hard drive and all that? If you're not into computers, you don't know about that. Yet you still believe this computer is made and it's done and it's there. And this is something so small. Look at this universe, the sky and the earth and the creation of Allah. It's more superior. And to know the existence of Allah, like a Bedouin. He said, how do you know Allah exists? He said, he's simple Bedouin. He said, when his sheep pass by, they let their waist. Sheep as they're walking, they let their waist as they're walking. He said, when I see the waist of a sheep, I know the sheep went that way. And he said, if you go on a beach, the footsteps, always, if you go on a nice clear beach, the footsteps will always stay there. So he said, the same way, those waists show where the sheep went, and those footsteps show that someone was there. Look at the sky. Look at the earth. The sky is above the earth, with nothing to hold it up. And then he began to name some of the creations of Allah. All that shows that there can only be one superb power. Look how the Bedouin explained it so easily. The same with us today. You don't know how the computer was created. You don't know how the car was created. You don't know other technology. You don't even know how a watch was created. But you know that you can tell time and it's running. But how is it inside? But it exists there. And that's how we know Allah exists, from His creations and from His miracles and from what's on this earth and the sky. Looks like I have a question. Okay, I think that's it. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Inshallah, we'll see you next week.